we've got some cards from Blazing Dominion. Some of them are a couple of days old, but I think this one is the newest out of the bunch, and I've seen some hype around it on the internet, but I haven't read it yet. But it is a new Link 2. Lahamu, the Messenger of Sacred Scripture. It is a generic Link 2 monster, so right off the bat, there is some potential here, and with the hype I've seen around it, I'm expecting good things. Link 2 Dark Fairy. Any 2 effect monsters. You can only use the first, second, and third effects of this card's name each once per turn. Once while this Link summoned card is face up on the field, you can normal summon a level 5 or higher monster without tributing. Okay, now this doesn't give you an additional normal summon, but it just means that if you have a normal summon anyways, you can spend it on a level 5 or higher without spending a tribute. There's some potential in this one. During the main phase quick effect, you can activate this effect immediately after it resolves normal summon. Okay, there you go. Normal summon a level 5 or higher dark monster. Now that one does give you an additional normal summon. Most importantly, I guess, this is something that you can do on both turns. You can do it on your turn when you summon it, and then it gives you another normal summon on the opponent's turn. Which can basically be turned into an interruption in a lot of different ways, depending on the deck you're playing. It's worth noting, though, that if you use... this is only once while it's face up on the field with the free tribute summon, basically, right? So, like, if you perform an extra summon on your first turn and you do it without a tribute, if you do it again on the opponent's turn, you will have to tribute for it. Well, yeah, interesting. I mean, level 5 or higher Dark Monster is... not something that's like super generic. Not every deck is going to be able to make use of this, but there's going to be a couple of decks who probably are going to appreciate it. The first thing that I'm thinking of, because it's Dark Fairy and it's also like something that's getting support, is Dark Lords. That's probably what it's meant for, but I can definitely see other applications for this as well. But I'm not entirely sure. I saw someone brewing with Cosmo. Does Dark Destroyer work on normal summon? What does Dark Destroyer do? It pops a card on summon? Is that on normal summon, or is it just special summon? Cosmo Dark Destroyer. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a monster on the field to destroy it. Okay, yeah, so this does turn Dark Destroyer into a disruption from your hand, sure, on the opponent's turn. Probably not the most broken synergy that this card has, but it does work. During your end phase, you can reveal any number of monsters in your hand, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and draw that many. Oh! Okay. We also get a mulligan. Now, it is in the end phase. It is in the end phase. But still, like, being able to put any card advantage that you've created throughout the turn, but isn't like a disruption, back to the bottom of the deck and draw extra cards for it, that's a pretty strong concept, you know? Like, pull off your combo and then in the end phase try to draw like hand traps. It's powerful. It's powerful but niche, I would say, at least for now. But there are this is the type of card. This card gives me Zelantis vibes, where you read it, you don't know exactly where it'll go, but you know one day this is going to be a good card, right? All it takes is the right deck, basically, right? If there's ever an archetype that has level 5 or higher dark monsters and gets a benefit out of summoning them out for free, maybe even on the opponent's turn for a disruption, it's gonna play this card, right? Of course, you guys are mentioning Vanity's Fiend as probably one of the best generic level 5 or higher dark monsters. I'm not sure if there's going to be a combo that searches Vanity's Fiend and then is able to summon it for free with this card. I mean, not impossible, for sure. But yeah, I mean, the one deck that I can really think of that wants to make use of this card is probably Dark Lords, and it feels like a card that helps Dark Lord out a lot, because I think Dark Lord even gets something out of the summon on the opponent's turn. Don't don't some of the Dark Lords have the effect, like a quick effect to copy the traps in the graveyard? So like summoning one on the opponent's turn gives you a pretty significant interruption sometimes. So like this card seems like it's very good in Dark Lord, but also generically like a really strong card. Yeah, it's like it's almost concerning because it feels like a very generically powerful card. I feel like this card could have really used like 2 fairy monsters, or cannot be used as link material at the very minimum. I would have liked to see that, because it's clearly meant to facilitate like tribute summoning and stuff like that. So why can it be linked off into something else, right? It's like the type of card where I can see it's very powerful already, but I'm not a fan that it has basically 0 locks on it. Basically, it's completely generic and has no restrictions whatsoever. So I'm not entirely sure if I like that, but I mean, so far, I don't think there is a deck that completely abuses this and makes it obviously broken. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Currently, it's just mid. I think SP is just better. Well, but it's also not really what you are comparing it to, right? This card does completely different things to SP Little Knight, right? That's like, I agree, in a vacuum, I think SP Little Knight is a better card than this overall, but they do 2 completely different things, right? This is more like a extender / enabler, whereas SP is more like removal, end board piece, interaction piece with the opponent, right? This is like not the same thing. It's like comparing SP Little Knight to Tristron Halqifibrax. It's like, okay, which one is the better card? It's very hard to compare because one is just a combo enabler, combo piece, step 2 of the combo, and SP Little Knight comes up in completely different scenarios, right? And I don't think it's that easy. You say Hulk, but I don't think it's that easy, because there are a lot of situations where SP Little Knight is the more powerful card. But that's besides the point. The question is not, is this card better than SP Little Knight? But the question is this card good enough to see play at the things it's trying to do? And I think the answer to that is yes. If there is a deck that can make use of these effects, it'll 100% play this card. And it will be good in that deck, right? Next up, we got Mimighoul Flower. This is OCG support for Mimighouls, because they now also have access to Mimighoul. So far, the deck has not made an impact in the OCG. Which is probably also due to, once again, the popularity of Dominus Impulse. Maybe now with the semi-limit of Impulse in the OCG, if this card is good, maybe Mimighoul actually has a chance. Level 1 Earth Plant Flip. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. During your main phase, you can special this card from your hand to your opponent's field in face-down defense position, or if a set monster is on the field, you can special summon it to yours instead, face up. Flip, if it's the main phase, apply these effects in sequence. Your opponent can add 1 flip monster or Mimighoul card from their deck to their hand, and then give control of this card to your opponent. This feels good to me while not being completely broken. So this feels like the Mimighoul extender done right? Because they've tried to give Mimighoul extenders, I feel like, very hard, and I feel like they just weren't able to do it properly for whatever reason, right? Because there is Mimighoul Fairy, and it's like, okay, you can special this from your hand to your opponent's field, or if you control the Mimighoul, you can summon it to your field. And then there's others, like there's Mimighoul Armor. During your main phase, special summon this card to your opponent's field, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon it to your field, and so on and so forth. They tried to give Mimighoul level 1 extenders. I think one of the others also has an effect like this. The problem is all of these really felt like bad cards, right? Like the flip effect on Mimighoul Fairy is basically irrelevant, so it was just an extender, nothing else. And so, like some of the others, you know, like Mimighoul Armor as well, like this turn, Mimighoul monsters can't be destroyed by battle is the flip effect on Mimighoul Armor, right? You can see how every attempt so far at making a Mimighoul extender just resulted in very, very mediocre cards overall that you don't want to draw most of the time. this one is not a starter, but it's finally a Mimighoul extender that's worth playing, right? That you don't feel awful about drawing in your hand, right? So like now you have one that if you give it to your opponent, you actually have a good effect that you can resolve if you manage to flip it up, and so on and so forth, right? It does add any flip monster. I'm seeing people in chat mention right now you can add guard dog and then like flip it and stuff like that. I'm sure that's a possibility, and that would be cringe if that ends up being the win condition for Mimighoul. How easy is it? It's been a while since I've messed around with Mimighoul. How easy is it to give your opponent the guard dog? Or rather, no, you don't even have to, you don't give it to your opponent, to summon it to your side, right? And then you flip it up. How do you flip it up on the opponent's turn? How easy is that? How easy is it to flip guard dog on your opponent's turn? Master and Maker, super easy. Mimighoul Master, during your opponent's main phase, change a face down monster on the field to face up attack or defense. And then Maker is when they like summon something, right? If your opponent special summons, you can banish it, target a face down monster your opponent controls, change it to face up attack. Okay. I mean, yeah, that is definitely a dangerous path to go down to make flip monsters searchable, like all types of flip monsters. I'm not sure if that was necessary for this card to be good. This card, I think, would have already been pretty solid if it just said add a Mimighoul card, right? It doesn't necessarily need to search for all the flip monsters. I guess we'll see how it pans out. I would hate for Mimighoul to turn into a deck that simply tries to lock the opponent out of playing completely with one of those flip monsters, right? That would be a little bit cringe if that was the, because the deck is so unique, right? It has such cool ways to win the game, and then if the end result just ends up being, well, flip guard dog, that would, I think that'd be a shame for Mimighoul, but it historically that is something that can make decks good, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, it's a pretty solid card, I would say. Just ban guard dog. It'd be kind of crazy if guard dog ends up on the ban list because of this, but I'm also pretty sure there's other flip monsters that are almost as broken as guard dog. Because what is guard dog is like you can't special summon, right? Guard dog, flip, your opponent cannot special summon for the rest of this turn. Yeah, but I think there's others. There's like ones that are like you can't activate spells, and so on. Like I think it's called Sonic Jammer. Sonic Jammer. Yeah. Flip, your opponent cannot activate any spell cards until the end of the end phase of the next turn. So yeah, I don't know if I like that aspect of it, but sure. And then we have two older ones. I want to include these because I don't think I think most people have already seen these. I haven't, except for the Plant Circular, but this one I haven't read yet. We've got Breach Boral Dragon, a link to further rocket support, actually. Dragon Link effect, Dark Link 2, 1200 attack, needs 2 Dark Dragons, including a rocket monster. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn each. If this card is link summoned, you can add any Boral spell trap from your deck to your hand. Okay, Boral. That means it doesn't search Boot Sector Launch. It doesn't search Quick Launch. But they probably had a Boral spell trap in the batch of cards in Burst Protocol, right? They got a counter trap. Yeah, ooh, that's pretty good. The only good target is the counter trap. Okay, hold up. Burst Protocol. Burst Protocol. Which one is the Boral counter trap? This one. Boral Reboot. When your opponent activates a spell trap, if you control a rocket or Boral, negate the activation if you do set that card. It cannot be activated this turn. You can activate this card from your hand by paying half your life points. Interesting. All right. Most importantly, it doesn't negate monster effects, so it's not a way to search a counter trap that can negate Nibiru, which is good. Yeah, okay. It's not once per turn though, which is interesting because it means you will always have a valid target for Breach Portal, right? Because otherwise, let's say you have this already in your hand, you would either have no target for this or you would search a second copy that was dead. But because it's not once per turn, you could just play 2 copies and then search the second copy, and then you have 2 spell trap negations. Quick effect, you can target a dark monster you control, it gains 500 attack, or if that monster is no longer on the field, you can special a rocket from your deck in defense position. Oh, this is awesome because it finally like gives them a real payoff for the fact that don't all of the rockets have like this weird effect where if they are targeted by a link monster, they can like destroy themselves. And this is something that I feel like they've never really done much, and now they can. Ooh, that's awesome. This card feels fun to play with. Even though, of course, I mean, the fact it searches a counter trap. I'm not the biggest fan of counter traps these days, just negate a card. But it does only negate spell traps, and it sets the card, so it's technically, if the game goes on for a little longer, you know, they will be able to use the card again. This is good, I think. It makes me wonder if the deck has a chance to see play if they don't bring Savage back, because I really don't want Savage back. However, in the OCG at the moment, the deck hasn't seen any play even with Savage legal yet. So I guess we will have to wait and see. But this card is quite solid, I would say. Quite solid. Isn't the deck weak to Fuwa? It probably is very weak to Fuwa, and Max C as well by extension, because we were talking about the OCG. That's probably the main reason. I mean, most Yu-Gi-Oh decks kind of die to Max C, but like some decks are way better into Fuwa than others, right? Like if you compare Dragon Link to something like Malice or Ryziel or whatever, one of the biggest differences is that those decks are better under Fuwa, right? Because you can like summon from your hand a bunch of Ryziels, or summon from the banished pile a bunch of Malice names, and then make like one extra deck monster and then call it a day. Rocket, to my knowledge, doesn't really have great ways to play around Fuwa. So yeah. And then last up, we've got Dracelia, the Blood Tree Dragon Princess, level 1 Dark Plant Tuner effect monster. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. You cannot special summon the turn you activate either of this card's effects except dragon and plant monsters. You can send a level 4 or lower plant monster from your deck to the graveyard except another copy of itself. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, its level becomes the sent monsters. You can banish this card and one other plant from your grave. Special summon a dragon from your hand or graveyard. Alright, in the year 2026, we are finally going to get the combination of my 2 favorite things ever. The two 1-card combo decks that have started it all in some ways for me. The Hatred. Mathmech Circular and Plants. Way back in 2023 or 2 even. Now we have Plant Circular. This card is good. I don't know exactly how the deck that uses this card is going to look. The fact that it locks you into dragons and plants makes me think it's kind of meant for Black Rose Dragon archetype. But there's gotta be a good use for this card. Or Predaplants, actually. Yeah, that's a good point too. Predaplants or Rose Dragons. Yeah, look, there's definitely something with this card. I don't know exactly, but there's definitely any level 4 or lower plant from deck to grave, special it, free extender, free send from deck, bonus effect in the graveyard later on. This card is phenomenal. There is going to be some deck using this card. Whether that deck is going to be top tier or just another like tier 2 combo deck, I can't say yet. But there's got to be something. And the targets range from like even some old, like really old cards like Glow Up Bulb or Spore, to some of the Predaplant cards like Biblisp. I'm not sure if Biblisp has to be sent to the graveyard by card effect. Or if it's just any way. No, just if it's sent to grave, add a Predaplant monster. Yeah, so this already searches any Predaplant monster. Because you can send Biblis for cost and then trigger it to search, right? So it's a free special summon that searches any Predaplant already. And that's gotta be good in some way, right? Is it true it cannot send Glow Bulb since its level won't change? I don't think so. I think you can send level 1s with this. But it's an interesting question. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can send level 1s. But I couldn't exactly tell you why, because I do think it's a valid question. Because, for example, it's slightly different, but I'm not entirely sure why it's different. Kaleido Chick cannot send another Kaleido Chick because it's already named Kaleido Chick. So I'm not sure why the name is different than the level. Maybe it's the fact that it does multiple things like special summon, and if you do, the level becomes. Yes, because the level becomes 1. It never says it changes. It just says become. Okay, what does Kaleido Chick say? Kaleido Chick. Once per turn, send a Lunalight monster from your deck or extract to the grave. The name of this face-up card on the field can be treated as the sent monsters if used as fusion material this turn. Right, I couldn't tell you exactly why this is different. Like why a Kaleido Chick cannot send another Kaleido Chick, but this can send a level 1. I'm pretty sure it's just because slight wording differences or whatever. I don't see the big difference. Maybe it's the and if you do. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. You can't activate an effect that does nothing, and Kaleido Chick sends for cost, so if you send a copy of itself, the effect does nothing. Yeah, I mean, this one also sends for cost, but maybe it's the fact that, like, you still perform something. You still can do special summon this card from your hand. The only thing you can't do is the and if you do, its level becomes. But also maybe level is treated differently than name changing. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure it works though. I can't explain it, but I think it works.